Welcome. I'm Halcyon, and this is Hug Nation. Today, at this moment, as this is being recorded, Facebook is down. Instagram is down. And I got to tell you, I'm disheartened by how much this has affected my routine. It is quite a wake-up call for me to see how many of my patterns, how many of my tools, how much of my pathways of connection are tied to this commercial entity with less than admirable, history. And, we start to become dependent on places like Amazon. And because it is so valuable and it is so easy, I start to make excuses, or I don't look as deeply into the dark sides, to the negatives, to the ways that they operate that are out of integrity with my own values, what I would do. And then a day like today comes when, boom, this tool that I compromised for because it is so easy and dependable is gone. And now I am without a voice, without my ways of connecting. I look to my phone and see how many people that I want to talk to that I am not connected to through text. How many people that are not on my mailing list that I would like to reach out to. And so I guess my first plea is, would you sign up for my mailing list? I send something out maybe once every few months. But the next time something like this happens, what if it's more than just a day? What if this tie that we have together is gone? But having your name, your email connected in a place outside of these closed walls of the corporations, it would really ease my mind a little bit. And I encourage you to think about how many places in your life you are at the whim of a corporation. And as that corporation might change their policies, or in many directions, they could change their policies in being more restrictive. I feel like I just got a warning in Facebook because I posted a picture that had a little bit of side boob in it. And now I'm like, uh-oh, I got to be real on my best behavior so I don't lose this important tool. Or as Facebook does things in terms of, as we're learning more, consistently learning more about their practices, a new whistleblower shared things about how they, intentionally encouraged adversarial and, negative interactions. And as we learn more and more about this, it becomes less of an option to leave. Now, I'm saying that as someone who has not left, who it feels like I cannot leave, but I guess this is a statement to myself as well as much as it is to anyone else, is like, holy crap, man. Be careful about who you turn into your master. Because if you trust someone today, that does not mean they're trustworthy tomorrow. And I shouldn't say someone, I should say an entity. Because I feel like if you trust someone, that's a risk worth taking. There are people I trust that I would say, yes, here is my PIN number from my ATM. If you're curious, it's 6222. And you're one of those people. I trust you. But would I trust my local, business of any sort? Because how do I know when the personnel changes? How do I know when the leadership changes? How do I know when the pressures from their investors change to something where they make a compromise? I've worked at companies where the vision has had to erode and compromise as pressure from investors started to get too strong. I've had to quit jobs where I felt like my integrity and my vision was no longer in line with what had settled into the corporate structure. It's way easier to quit a job than it is to quit Facebook or Amazon. But just as if I was at a job and I started to realize this is starting to smell fishy or unsatisfying or out of integrity, I would start to look for other possibilities, other options, other ways that I could support myself in the same way as I feel the pressure and the dissatisfaction with the Amazons and the Facebooks. I'm looking for ways to stay connected, to be supplied, to keep my cupboards full and my connections deep without being so dependent. So I hope that you will subscribe to me in many places, but most importantly, a mailing list, because that is outside of the restrictions. You can also send me an email. Write down my email. Send me a note. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your suggestions. I just had a Facebook memory pop up about when I worked for a site called AnyBeat, anybeat.com. We were a Facebook alternative. We were trying to be a place where we could be connected and have a social network that was kind of outside of the official nature that Facebook was becoming. Facebook was starting to demand that we used our real names. It started to become part of your permanent record. And so we did create a site that allowed pseudonyms, but also had, you were responsible for your actions. And it was fantastic, actually, but it could not compete. What will be the tipping point? Maybe it's a day like today when Facebook stops working. And maybe it's not just for a day. Maybe it's long enough that we start calling out into the digital wild and connect in other places. So wherever you are hearing this, I say hello. I love you. And I hope we stay connected. Thank you.